had enough. I've had enough already tonight of a guy who sounds like ChatGPT standing up here. And the last person in one of these debates, Brett, who stood in the middle of the stage and said, "What's a skinny guy with an odd last name doing up here?" was Barack Obama, and I'm afraid we're dealing with the same type of amateur standing on stage tonight.
Come over and give me a hug. Give me a hug just like you did to Obama.
The same type of amateur.
And you'll help elect me just like you did to Obama, too. Give me that
the
bear hug,
same
brother.
type of amateur.
Hold on. Tomorrow we debut a new segment, calling it Special Report One-on-One. It's basically a candidate's corner. The guests for our opening night, Republican presidential hopefuls Christie and Vivek Ramaswamy, in-depth conversations on the issues that Americans want to talk about. It'll be interesting conversations indeed, and that's tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Eastern Time.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about the last GOP debate. And the reason why we got to talk about the last GOP debate is because the RNC has pulled a sleazy slimeball move in an attempt to save what is clearly a failing and dated format in regards to how GOP primary candidates actually discuss issues. Now, this is something I've talked about in detail after the last debate that I thought was very lackluster, okay? It is very clear that these GOP debates are not moving the needle. And I think that the American people feel the same way because the viewership for the second GOP debate dropped by more than 25%. More than 25%. Okay, so about 9.5 million people tuned in to the second one after 13 million people watched the first debate. Now, with that being said, what happened after the debate is that I said that, look, I think that a better format for these GOP debates is actually to have kind of 1v1 or 1v1v1, type of conversations where you get maybe, 2 or 3 or 4 of these guys together and you just sit down and you discuss the issues, right? You have a real policy conversation that is not in the form that we currently have our GOP debates that really just lend itself to canned GOP talking points, personal attacks, trying to get zingers in for applause from the audience. They're not talking about policy on stage anymore, right? And again, you have a whole lot of talking over each other. People can't really say what they got to say. They can't have a real discussion. And again, I feel like I'm not the only person that feels that way about the GOP debates. Again, I feel like a much better form or format would be a Joe Rogan style 3-hour conversation where these people really sit down and hash out the issues and have these policy debates. And that is what Christie and Vivek Ramaswamy attempted to do following the second debate. That was a disaster. Okay, these two agreed to a debate on Fox News with Brett Baier in which they would sit down for an hour and actually talk it out with each other in regards to their differences on the issues. Now, again, I love this idea. I think this is exactly what we should be seeing moving forward. This is the preferred format, in my opinion. In fact, I was going to live stream this, and I was very excited to see Vivek Ramaswamy destroy Krispy Kreme Christie, right? Who sits on the debate stage and talks a whole lot of junk, okay? I mean, he has it out not just for Trump, but he also has it out for Vivek as well, too. So, again, I was looking forward to Christie and Vivek really discussing the issues. However, we're not going to be able to see that 1v1 because the RNC stepped in and said, no, you can't do this. And if you do this, we are going to ban you from future debates. Okay, so the RNC stepped in and told Christie and Vivek Ramaswamy that they can't sit down as GOP primary candidates and discuss policy issues, right? They can't do it, okay? Because I believe just maybe that would take away some legitimacy from the RNC GOP debates. I guess they have a monopoly, okay, over the GOP debates in regards to how GOP primary opponents can talk and discuss issues with each other. So again, they stepped in and threatened these guys and said, if you do this debate on Fox News, you're not going to be able to participate in any more of the debates. Now, again, I have a whole lot more to say about that, right? But first, I actually want to play Vivek Ramaswamy's reaction to the RNC, essentially forcing them to cancel their debate. Because, again, this is just a prime example of how the game is rigged, okay? I mean, I'm so serious, okay? Between the DNC and the RNC, it is very clear that the game is rigged, and I think this is all the more evidence. And again, this really pisses me off. But first, I want to play this clip from Vivek Ramaswamy before I get into my rant.
Well, I was supposed to spar with Christie in an open discussion, but the RNC didn't want to let that happen. Haven't had RNC debates that have succeeded. The first two have been disastrous messes, and we need a real debate in our party between the old neocon vision and a new vision of what it actually means to put America first, a pro-positive nationalistic vision for this country. I thought we were going to have it today. They got in the way and said that, no, that would eliminate me from the next debate if they let it happen. So I did a back-to-back segment instead with Brett Baer, which is going to air later tonight on his show at 6 o'clock. But let's just be honest about what's happening. I am a candidate whose ideas are a threat to the system. They did not plan for me to be in this race. Now, what did they do? They all got behind Ron DeSantis because there's supposed to be one person. Their top goal of the establishment is to take Donald Trump out. When that didn't work out, they're moving to their next shiny object, Nikki Haley, who has some serious issues as a candidate. I'll get to that later. Mark my words, next month, once that trend phased, once that flavor of the month is gone, it's going to be Glenn Youngkin the month after. This is how the broken game of super PAC puppet mastery in current politics works. I'll call on any super PAC supporting me to give their money back to the donors, saying I'm not going to show up at your events as long as Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis and Tim Scott and everybody else does the same thing. We've got to be better than the other side. You know, they say that, hey, you couldn't participate in that sparring exchange with Christie. I didn't even want to do this. I was asked to do it. I said, sure, I'd do it. But the fact that they intervened and got in the way reminded me of exactly how they acted last week on the debate stage. They do not want the voters to hear my views, which they view as dangerous to their system. So when another super PAC establishment favored candidate has a debate on Fox, they're perfectly fine with that. But they're using these so-called debate rules to silence me. I'm not going to let them get away with it. Yes, there are other good people in this race, but they have been tainted by this broken system. I am running against that system, and we will not stop until we are done and we win.
Yeah, so what he's talking about in regards to other Fox News debates that are being held independent of the RNC's good graces is between Ron DeSantis and Gavin Newsom, the governor of California. Now, the RNC is saying that, well, he's allowed to do that. Ron DeSantis is allowed to debate Gavin Newsom because Gavin Newsom is not running in the GOP primary, right? So apparently the rule is that the GOP primary candidates can't debate each other outside of an RNC sanctioned debate, okay? If the RNC is not putting their name on it, if they're not sponsoring it, I guess if they're not getting paid from it, then you can't do it, right? So even, again, if you are GOP primary opponents and you want to just sit down one-on-one and talk with each other about policy, you can't do it without the RNC saying it's okay, right? But Ron DeSantis, because he is debating a Democrat, he can do it, right? He can have that discussion just with a Democrat. Now, I'm assuming he wouldn't be able to do that with Trump, in which, you know, Ron DeSantis has come out here and essentially begged Trump to debate him, okay? He's like, look, I want to do a one-on-one debate with Trump, okay? But I'm assuming that the RNC wouldn't let that happen either, right? If they're applying the same rules to Vivek Ramaswamy as they're applying to Christie, okay? But, you know, my gut feeling is that if Trump actually agreed to a 1v1 debate with Ron DeSantis, they will probably try to find a way to make that happen because, again, the goal is to take down Trump, right? So having Ron DeSantis debate Trump one-on-one, they may see that as an opportunity to do what they ultimately really want to do, which is to take down Trump, right? So, again, to me, it really pisses me off because I was going to live stream it, right? I was planning on either live streaming it, definitely was going to react to it. I could not wait to see Vivek destroy Krispy Kreme Crispy, right? Because it is a debate between two sides of the GOP, right? The populist GOP, which is what Vivek Ramaswamy is a representative of, versus the establishment, Christie, the Neville Trumpers, right? This would have been a great conversation, an hour long. They could have really hashed it out. They've been going at each other on the GOP debate stage. I would have loved to see it. But But unfortunately, we won't see it, right? The primary voters won't be able to see it because the RNC says, no, we can't, right? And this is why I'm just sick and tired of this system. I'm sick and tired of these two parties, man. I'm so serious. I'm sick and tired of the Democrats and the Republicans, right? Because clearly the system's rigged. People want to talk about rigged elections, okay? Well, I'm going to tell you something that we know for a fact is rigged, okay? The primaries are for a fact undoubtedly rigged, okay? Look how the Democrats did Bernie, right? The Democrats basically made sure that Biden would win by coordinating with other candidates and the media to make sure that the establishment's picks that they, want to actually win, like Joe Biden, he would get favorable media coverage, okay? All of the people that could have took away votes from Joe Biden before Super Tuesday dropped out so that Bernie Sanders wouldn't win in the Democrat primary. All that stuff was coordinated by the DNC, okay? I mean, it's has been admitted by people that used to run the DNC and be a part of the DNC that, yeah, it's rigged.
Now to the explosive details emerging in a new book by Donna Brazile, the former chair of the Democratic National Committee, including dramatic revelations about an alternative ticket with Joe Biden and Senator Cory Booker during Hillary Clinton's infamous fainting spell.
And although she had to be lifted into that van, you know what? She got up, like most of us, she got up and she kept fighting. So that's the Hillary Clinton I hope people get to know.
But Clinton's fight, Brazile alleges, came at Bernie Sanders' expense. She writes that the Clinton team compromised the party's integrity when it struck its own deal with the DNC in 2015, giving Clinton's campaign vast control over DNC finances. Brazile even saying she was made to feel subservient.
Yeah, I'm not patched to the slave because I got sick and tired of people telling me how to spend money. For those who are telling me to shut up, they told Hillary that a couple of months ago. You know what I tell them? Go to hell.
President Trump says Brazile's book confirms his own accusations. The DNC was rigged by Hillary Clinton in her favor.
We're learning today that a new book that is coming out by Donna Brazile, the former acting chair of the Democratic National Committee, that the campaign of Secretary Hillary Clinton was far more influential at the Democratic Party, the Democratic National Committee, than we previously knew. Do you think, though, that what we're learning from Donna Brazile's book suggests that the campaign, that what the Democratic National Committee did, meant this election was rigged?
Yeah, I think it was.
It's a pretty powerful charge.
Well, what we have to focus on now as Democrats is we recognize the process was rigged. And now it is up to Democrats to build a new process, a process that really works and works for everyone. And that as we go forward, we have confidence in the integrity of this system, that Democrats, as they run a primary, are going to let the people speak, and that we're going to have a candidate who's the candidate chosen by the people. That's our job.
Right? We rig it, okay? Again, I mean, to me, in my opinion, when you want to talk about trying to fix our elections, part of fixing our elections and the integrity in our system is getting rid of the two-party system, right? I'm so serious, right? I'm not sure exactly what interests do the RNC or the DNC serve for the American people. I mean, when you look at the RNC, what do they do for us, right? What do they do for us as primary voters, as Republicans? They don't do anything. I mean, they can't even win elections, right? They can't even win elections. They've been loss after loss after loss after loss, but yet they continue to have the same leadership, Ronald McDaniel, running the RNC, even though she hasn't proven to be worth a damn when it comes to actually winning. That's the whole point. The point is to win. So I'm livid because as a voter, as somebody that is trying to gather as much information as I can about the candidates, I can't do that because the RNC is getting in the way and threatening candidates, basically saying that, well, we'll rig the game against you if you don't go along with our demands. Again, it's absolutely disgusting. This is anti-democratic. It really is. But here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. I personally think that Vivek and Christie, and maybe today is not the best day to do it because you have Kevin McCarthy, the vote to oust him as speaker currently going on. So that will probably take up most of the news anyways. Probably not the best day to do it. If I was them, I would do it anyways. Why do I say that? Well, the reason why I say that is because the GOP debates, the national debates that's on that, they're not moving the needle, right? When it comes to the polls, nobody, maybe Nikki Haley might, right? I guess maybe you could argue Nikki Haley might be benefiting from them, but nobody else outside of Nikki Haley is benefiting from these GOP debates, right? Nobody's benefiting from them. So if you can obviously see that, you know what, the GOP debates aren't moving the needle, who cares if they keep you out of the next debate? It doesn't really matter, right? Because it's not like the debate is going to move the needle anyways. You can't have a real conversation in these debates. So I say do what Trump did. Screw the debates, right? If you start having people just drop out of the debates because basically the debates don't help, the debates are pointless, the format is stupid, given today's like social media and how we have alternative forms of media, I would say it's probably worth it, right? If you have the freedom to say, you know what, I'll hold debates or we'll host debates on major news networks just between 2 or 3 candidates, and we'll just coordinate with the news networks to bring in viewership and ratings for them and just debate among ourselves and have these long form conversations. I think that's the way to go, right? I think that honestly, just saying screw the RNC and putting the middle finger up to them is the move, right? If I'm Vivek, I'm strongly considering this. Strongly considering it. Okay, especially if after the 3rd or 4th debate, again, the needle hasn't moved. Okay, your poll numbers are still the same. You're not going up, you're not going down. If it's not doing anything for you, then you know what? Again, I say screw the debates, right? I say do your own 1v1 debates on these other platforms instead that will host it, and you do that. And I think that, quite honestly, that would do more good for people like Vivek and Christie, who, you know, Christie, I don't want him to win, but I'm just saying, you know, I believe in freedom of speech. I believe in having a free-form discussion, even with people that I disagree with. I think it would benefit both of them, right? So, you know, in my opinion, I hate the RNC for doing this, but I really do believe that Vivek and Christie should strongly consider doing it anyways and basically make the RNC take them out of the debates. And if they do, you know what? It's not the end of the world. It's not the end of your campaign. Or, I mean, Christie's campaign is already over, but for Vivek, it's not the end of your campaign. You can still do other debates, and maybe, just maybe, you can be a pioneer for a whole new style of discussion, which is just 1v1 discussions on these news outlets instead of having this GOP debate where you're having 9 and 10 people on stage and nobody can really talk or say anything. And, you know, the format is chaotic and is dated and people don't learn anything from it. So I'm just saying, screw the RNC, screw the DNC as well too, screw both of these political parties, because again, this is outrageous, right? The real rigging of the system is these 2 political parties that have all these convoluted rules and things that you have to do just to play the game. And anybody else who refuses to play the game, it's, you know what, too bad, so sad. George Washington was right. Okay, we should have been very wary of political parties, and again, I think that these political parties really are part of the reason why this country is falling off a cliff. So hey, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.